All right, guys. So today we are going to be filling the bracket. We are getting closer to the NCAA tournament. Conference tournaments are starting up this week in the mid-majors. So we're going to be breaking this down, talking about which teams I think are locks at the moment and how many realistic bubble spots do we have and how many teams are in the conversation for those bubble spots. So let's go ahead and get into it. These are not in any order, by the way, so ignore, who's the top, who's the bottom, all that good stuff. But all right, in the Big Ten, I think that's in right now. We've got Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois, Northwestern, Nebraska, and Michigan State. Besides Michigan State, all these are pretty much locks, I think. Michigan State should be in, but unless something goes down, they're in, no doubt. Next up, Big 12. All right, Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, Baylor, BYU, Tech, Texas, Oklahoma, and TCU. If any of these are going to fall out, it's probably going to be TCU. Other than that, though, I think these are all locks at the moment. In the Big East, we've got Uconn, Marquette, and Creighton. We'll get to the rest of those Big East teams a little later. In the Pac-12, we've got two teams, Arizona, Washington State. In the ACC, we've got North Carolina, Duke, and Clemson. That's the only locks at the moment. In the Mountain West, we've got a lot of teams, San Diego State, Utah State, Boise State, Colorado State, and Nevada. In the SEC, we've got Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, and Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State has played their way in. They should be off the bubble. West Coast Conference, we've got St. Mary's and Gonzaga. Then we've got Dayton. All right, so those are the only locks at the moment. So we have 38 locks, in my opinion, if it were to end the day. And then other than that, we've got the automatic qualifiers. We'll get to those. But 38 for sure locks in the tournament, no matter what happens. So with that being said, all right, let's look at all the automatic qualifiers. I've eliminated them like the SEC automatic qualifier, I've eliminated that because there's probably going to be a team already in here that's going to win that. So in the A10, all right, this is assuming Dayton does not win. Okay, first off. So if Dayton wins the A10, this completely changes the bubble because basically you eliminate a spot and add a bubble spot pretty much is what happens. So let's say Dayton wins the A10, that A10 spot would open up. So you would open up another bubble spot because Dayton would have already won. But in the conversation for the A10, potentially winning the tournament, you've got Loyola Chicago, Richmond, and VCU. If I have these teams listed next to the conference, that basically means that these teams are in the bubble conversation already. So keep an eye on those teams. So again, in the A10, to win it, you probably got Dayton, Loyola, Richmond, or VCU. And if one of those teams does win it, that eliminates them from the bubble conversation because they're in. You know what I mean? But then you got ASUN, you got the America East, AAC, so the American Conference, you've got South Florida, Florida Atlantic, Memphis. They're all in the bubble right now. I think USF and FAU are going to be in, but at the moment they're in bubble consideration because their resumes aren't that impressive. All right, then you got Big Sky, Big South, Big West, Conference USA, CAA, Horizon, Ivy League. The reason I've got Princeton on here, they've only got 3 losses. So if somehow they do lose to like Harvard or something or Yale, they could potentially be in that bubble conversation. Now, this is probably not going to happen. They'll probably win, but you never know. All right, you got the MAAC, the MAC, the MEAC, the Missouri Valley. So with Missouri Valley, you've got Indiana State and Drake. I'm assuming the winner of that is probably going to be the winner of the conference. Hopefully these teams meet in the championship of this, and then hopefully the loser gets in the bubble. I think the loser should be in because we all would rather have one of these teams instead of a 12-loss Power 5 school that's talented, but we don't want to watch that. We want to see the mid-majors. So I'm assuming here the winner of that, the winner of this conference is Indiana State or Drake. Now we've got the NEC, the OVC, Patriot League, SWAC, SoCon, SLC, Summit, Sunbelt Conference. You got James Madison and Appalachian State that are potential bubble teams. Then in the WAC, Western Athletic Conference, you've got Grand Canyon. So 62 teams are in the field already is basically what we're saying here. So pretty much you've got 6 spots that are going to be bubble teams, okay? Sorry, got to break that. I know that was kind of loud, but I got to break before I go into this bubble, dive into this bubble, I got to get a sip. But we've got 62 spots locked in no matter what. Okay, not saying these teams that are next to them are going to be in. 38 teams are locked in, then 62 spots are locked is pretty much what I'm saying here. All right, so in that bubble conversation, we've got about 30 teams that I'm about to talk about here. All right, we're not going to go too in-depth on them, but I'm going to give you a rundown of the 30 teams. I will be doing a complete breakdown of these bubble teams later, so be on the lookout for that. But as of right now, we're just going to talk about the teams on the bubble. So 6 spots to go into whoever. Now, some of these bubble teams, if they do win their conference, so like James Madison, Appalachian State, obviously one of them, if they win, is going to be in that spot there. But on the bubble, these are in no particular order, by the way. We've got Virginia, Wake Forest, Syracuse, Pitt, Iowa, Seton Hall, Providence, Villanova, St. John's, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, Ole Miss, Indiana State, Drake. All right, so there, like I said, the winner of that game most likely is going to win that conference in the championship. So that would eliminate one of these teams. You got Memphis, FAU, USF. Like I said, one of those teams is probably winning that conference, which would do the same thing as Indiana State and Drake. James Madison, them and Appalachian State will both be on this list. Similar situation. Ohio State, if somehow played their way into the tournament conversation, fired their coach a couple weeks ago, and they went on a pretty good run since then. Butler, all right, not talked about a lot, but they have a really impressive resume. Kansas State, could they somehow go on a run in the Big 12? Texas A&M, Grand Canyon. Now, if Grand Canyon wins their conference, it doesn't matter, but you never know. Richmond, all right, they could also win their conference. Virginia Tech kind of sneaking back into the conversation. Same with Xavier. Oregon has dropped way out. They were in a lock pretty much, but they have just completely dropped. Appalachian State, like I said, with James Madison, winner of that probably is in. Cincinnati, another team like Kansas State, could go on a run here. Loyola Chicago and VCU. All right, so basically with that one, Loyola Chicago, they're both, and VCU both in the conversation to win the A-10 potentially. But these are my bubble teams at the moment. I've got 32 of them. Like I said, some of these teams are going to win their conference, so that's going to eliminate them off the bubble. But I included them. Basically, if I included them on here, they potentially have a chance to make the tournament, even if they don't win their conference tournament, is what I'm saying there. So like with Grand Canyon, for example, I also left off McNeese State. They should be on this list. Let me go ahead and add them. McNeese State should definitely be on this list. They only have 3 losses and some impressive wins. They would be on here for sure. But this is my field at the moment. Like I said, I think there are 6 spots for the taking when it comes to bubble teams, and who's going to get in, who's going to be that last 4 in, who's going to be that next 4 out. We'll talk about that in another video, but this is the field at the moment. Again, 38 locks, 6 spots for the bubble teams, and these are your list of bubble teams, about 34 of them, 32 of them, 33 of them. So let me know your thoughts. What bubble teams do you think will make it if this is, in fact, the bubble? And also, who have I included in the field as locks that you don't think is a lock that could drop out? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.